Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of the Bench Mob Ent podcast, the best sports podcast in New Jersey. We are going to be here not only for a good time, but for a long time. So hit that subscribe button, like, share, comment. Fellas, how y'all doing tonight?
Doing good.
Doing well, bro. NBA's back, so I'm doing better than good, to be honest.
It's a beautiful time to be alive. And fun enough, we're not gonna talk about this episode, but I didn't even know I was doing that. Beautiful time to be alive. You know, Slime over there in jail said that, hey, Drake, Future, Metro, y'all got to get back to making music. So you might have a time to be alive part 2 or 3 coming out. I don't know. But it seemed like Slime making moves over there being peacekeeper. Maybe that helps him get time off his sentence or whatever's going on over there. But this episode, we talking about week 7 recap. D-Hop got traded. You know we're going to talk about that. Week 8, our picks for week 8. NBA award predictions as promised. We told y'all we were going to do it last week, that we would do it this week. We got it for y'all. We, of course, is going, World Series is here. It's not how one of the members of our show expected it to go, but we're going to give you our World Series picks, how we think who's going to win. Starting off week 7, we're going to start off with this before we even get into some of the games. The biggest news just keeps on giving. Typically, we don't see big trades or nothing crazy like this happen at the trade deadline for the NFL, but we got something. D-Hop has been traded to the Chiefs. We've been talking about it all year that the offense has not looked good. Patrick Mahomes, they're winning, but he's not playing the best. Lamar Jackson, obviously, is playing better than him, for example. D-Hop, Kansas City. What does this mean for the Chiefs? What does this mean for Pat Mahomes and that offense?
Means everything. I mean, they were just kind of skating by. Like they're the I don't want to say the worst undefeated team, but they haven't looked great. Patrick Mahomes hasn't looked great. I mean, his numbers are not what we're used to. Even when Rashee Rice was here, it still wasn't what we're used to. So adding D-Hop, you're trying to get Travis Kelce back going. I thought he was going to get going after the bye, and then he comes back and puts up like 17 yards receiving. So maybe they still got some work to do. But bringing D-Hop in, now you get a proven guy who, even though he's on the back end of his career, he can still get the jump ball. He can still go over the middle, make that tough catch for you, that he's not going to drop it. And then eventually you get Juju back from this hamstring injury. But it's more about building some chemistry now ahead of the stretch run going into November and December. Like, they were going to have to make a move for a receiver anyway. And why not get D-Hop, who, one, you didn't have to give up much. He's an expiring deal. It's basically a one-year deal for him here in Kansas City to help you guys make a run at the Super Bowl again, a three-peat. So I still think they have a great shot at winning it. I don't think I would take most teams ahead of the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. Sure, the Ravens look really, really good right now, but the playoffs is a different animal. Like, regular season is what it is. Same in the NBA playoffs. Not everybody's gonna step up when it's crunch time and all the eyes are on you. So, but we know Pat Mahomes is gonna do it. D-Hop, we'll see. Hopefully he stays healthy. For some reason in Kansas City, if you're the number one over there, you're going down like flies right now. So
Yeah, I mean, Miles said a lot of it with this trade and addressing how it's good for them. Obviously, if you're a Chiefs fan, you wish that Cooper Kupp was the guy you got, and somehow they created another cheat code over in Kansas City to go get a guy like Cooper Kupp to come play there, but they just couldn't make that happen, and it wasn't for lack of effort. We all read about. I'm sure you guys all seen the reports about how they tried to go get him, and if they'd gotten him, they would have danced the Super Bowl. I mean, it would have been over. It would have been over because Cooper's still in his prime, still an elite receiver, still gets open, and to give a guy like Mahomes that kind of security blanket to operate with, and then not even just that, a guy who can take the top off a defense, really run any kind of route you want him to run, and beat any corner in the league with his technical route running ability, it would have been over. But they got DeAndre Hopkins, and that's cool. It ain't the same. It ain't the same. But he's going to be useful for them. Obviously, he won't look as bad as he's looked playing with these inferior quarterbacks. Mahomes is going to throw him open. Mahomes is going to give him 50-50 balls. Mahomes is going to put the ball where it needs to be. He's going to rely on DeAndre Hopkins because he got no choice. So I think it'll be a good move for them. And I think they're going to the Super Bowl regardless because they win at both points of attack. They can stop the run, and they run the ball well, and they protect the quarterback. But they stop the run. And so I think they're going to force Lamar to throw the ball. And I know we're not talking about the Ravens Chiefs matchup, but I can't help it. I'm getting ahead of myself. That's what it's going to come down to in this conference. And I just think they're going to force Lamar to beat him with his arm again. I think Lamar will not be able to do it, in my opinion, based on what I've seen this season. I know it's not going to be a popular opinion when he's playing so great and he's going to win another MVP, but I don't think he's a finesse thrower of the football. I think Zay Flowers' fluctuating numbers kind of tells me that, and I don't love their offense. I think the only reason why their offense looks better is because of the fact that they're running the ball so well, and they've adjusted by bringing Henry downhill out of the I formation as opposed to trying to run him out of shotgun. They've just adjusted, and they have a good enough whole line to run the football very well if they're going to let that dude with 250 pounds of muscle coming downhill and let him get a head start into the line of scrimmage. So he's able to find holes. I just don't think that's going to work against the best of the best in the playoffs. And I think when they stop that, the route combinations they have in their offense isn't good enough to really cause defenses issues, good defenses issues, in my opinion. That's just my take. I know people ain't going to like it, but people don't like most of the stuff I say, so I don't give a you know what.
The thing that's different, though, I think, like you said, it's going to be the Chiefs because every other team in the AFC, I think they'll have no problem with. They'll be able to get through them. They'll be able to run Derrick Henry 27 attempts in the playoffs. And, hey, from there, Zay Flowers is open. Rashad Bateman, he seems to be running routes better. It's the Chiefs. That's the team that they got to get over. That's the team that they got to get the hump. And that defense isn't the best in the secondary concerning the Ravens. Chiefs added D-Hop to already having the Ravens have issues in the secondary. I don't know. Lamar might be in the same situation. Like, dang, he ain't get it done. You mean Cooper Kupp. If the Chiefs got him, that would have been absolutely – that's Madden level status right there where you turn up the trades and you make every trade go through. His quarterback, though, is also being rumored to be traded. Matthew Stafford. Where do you think could be a good fit? And should the Rams even consider trading Stafford? Should they just stay put?
I don't think he gets traded.
It doesn't make sense for him to get traded. But, Greg, you go.
Well, I was going to say, I don't think he's going to get traded at least until the offseason. I think a team in the draft may come up short and not get a quarterback they love. And if they don't want to run back a terrible situation, they may bring him in as a bridge quarterback. That's far more likely to happen than him getting traded before the deadline. Because if he gets traded before the deadline, it's to a team that believes they can make a run and thinks that he's a clear upgrade over what they have, like the Vikings. That's the only place I could see him really going as an upgrade over Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold's playing so well right now, and that offensive line is playing so well that I think the Vikings are going to give him a go and really try to go the distance with him. And they're not fooling themselves and believing they can win a Super Bowl. I think in that front office, they got a smart group of guys in the front office over there. But I think they're going to give him an opportunity to see it through. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they do get a Stafford and they make a real run at this thing. But that's the only place I see him going truly in terms of a contender that could use him. But if he sticks around like I think he will and he plays the rest of this year out and it comes to a situation where they try to trade him in the offseason, I think a team like the Giants could make a move for him. I don't think it's out of the question. I think if the Giants win games by mistake somehow down the stretch, which won't happen, they suck. But if they do, and they play their way out of the quarterback range that they need to be in to get a Cam Ward or Shador, I think or Garrett Nussmeier from LSU. We didn't get into my quarterback rings. We didn't talk about all that. That's okay. It's a new name. I know it is. He's really, really good at football. But if it's not one of those three guys, in my opinion, I think the Giants are going to probably take a look around the NFL and try to get creative to bring somebody else in as a bridge because Daniel Jones will not be there, as I think we all know now. And so I think that Stafford could be a solution to their problem for sure. And it's certainly a reasonable route to take because he could just be a bridge to the next guy. And a draft and 2 drafts from now or whatever it may be. So we'll see. We'll see.
I like his fit in Pittsburgh if it came down to it, because those 2 guys that are there now basically are on 1-year deals. Like, they don't have to move forward with Fields. I don't know if they'll move forward with Russell Wilson. Like, he's not the QB of the future. And I feel like Stafford is just a better quarterback. He's more proven. He's tough. I'm not going to say he's like Ben Roethlisberger, but he brings that same sort of toughness to that quarterback position that Ben did back in the day. So I know the Steelers always make these smart moves. They're not going to – I was about to say they don't reach for a quarterback, but they did with that guy with the 2 gloves. But Matthew Stafford, if you bring him in next year, this is a team that can really compete in the East, the AFC. So, yeah, if they do move on from him, which if I'm Sean McVay, I'm looking at my next move, not from the team, but at quarterback. Because, I mean, they're only going so far with Stafford. It's time to break this thing down. Once Aaron Donald left, that should have been kind of like the sign that, all right, let's start shedding some salary, trading some of these star receivers, and, rebuilding and seeing what we can do. Because, you can only say F them picks for so long. Eventually, you're going to need them picks.
For our listeners and our viewers, Greg mentioned it. We'll have it back next episode. Been a lot. NFL's back. Full swing. NBA is here. Full swing. So we've been trying to fit everything and condense it into one episode. But we will have that back for y'all next week. His football rankings for the college quarterbacks. Because I know a lot of y'all was enjoying that. And a lot of y'all have teams that suck and will be looking at these quarterbacks. So we will definitely have that back for y'all.
Well, I'll also say on that note, too, before we move on, the fact that the Rams want to trade Stafford should tell you that they are pretty high on somebody in the draft. They must like somebody. They must think someone in the draft's going to be good, like a Shador. I think Shador's going to be really good, or Cam Ward, or Garrett.
You're in LA?
I know, yeah. Trouble. Trouble.
I was just going to say he's going to have no problem. He's going to have no problem with marketing deals, but trouble, that does come to mind as a possibility also.
Over there, that's what it would be.
We're talking about quarterbacks. We're talking about teams that, the Rams probably have to trade him because it's not turning out how they're supposed to turn out. We mentioned wide receivers, top-tier wide receivers coming to teams, and sometimes it's a bigger name than the actual wide receiver is anymore. D-Hop, for example, he still will probably have a productive season because he's with Mahomes, but a name that comes to mind is Stephon Diggs and Houston Texans. Now, we had, maybe not on here, but there was conversation. They got Diggs, they got Joe Mixon, Super Bowl in Houston. Were the expectations too high for the Houston Texans? Because as of now, they have not looked good offensively outside of the connection of Stroud and Nico Collins. Nobody else really is getting it going in. The run game is okay.
Yeah, I think sometimes less is more with receivers. He has a lot of guys throw the football over there too. Tank Dell, Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins. That's a lot of mouths to feed over there. So it's tough. And Stephon Diggs ain't going to settle for having 4 catches in a game and you win. We all know how he gets when he doesn't get targets. We know how that goes. Look how it was in Buffalo. So it's a tough situation. I think their problems really boil down to just their ability to run the ball consistently, right? There is a real connection between Nico Collins and C.J. Stroud. That's his guy. He loves it. He knows where he wants the ball to be. He knows how he wants to throw the football. There's a real connection there. And I think he had a connection with Tank Dell that was very strong last year, and I think that hopefully they can find that again and find that rhythm. But it's going to take time. It's going to take time with that football team. I'll tell you one thing: you ain't gonna get me to sit up here and tell you I feel bad for that football team. They're still in a pretty good spot. They're in that division, playing against the Colts and the Jaguars and those fools. They're gonna come out that division. But it may have been early. It may have been early for a Super Bowl chance over there And it's not really about how good CJ Stroud is. He's playing great football. I know that he only threw for 86 yards up in Green Bay, but Green Bay's a Super Bowl team. Make no mistake about it. They're that good. And they got that defense, and Gilgeous-Alexander is balling. That's probably my favorite corner in football. I've been talking about him on this podcast for years. So I don't really hold that against him. That performance, obviously, that you went up against one of the teams, the league's best, and you came up short, and that's a good litmus test. But I don't think they're a Super Bowl contender, anyways. I never really looked at them like that. So they still have to fortify their offensive line to run the ball better to be a real contender, in my opinion.
I think it could be a little different once you get Nico Collins back. He's just that good and that much of a difference maker that he can really open things up for Tank and open things up for Diggs. Because I think at this point in Diggs' career, I don't expect him to be a dominant number one receiver. He can be a number two, pretty solid for a good playoff team. But like when you look at what he used to do and what he's doing now, like they're doing a lot of dink and dunk with him. Like it's nothing down the field. He's the short intermediate route guy. Like Nico Collins, they're doing him like Josh Gordon and Calvin Johnson. Like he's getting all the deep passes. They're throwing in double coverage. And that's something that they've been missing since he's been gone. Like this guy was on a 2,000-yard pace before he got hurt. So you lose somebody like that, that's pretty big piece of the offense that you're missing. So, Green Bay is good. They have a really good defense. They get after it. They turn the ball over. They can make you turn the ball over. So that was a tough game for them last week. I would have loved to see what they do with Nico Collins out there because I think he opens things up. And I do see Joe Mixon. He's back from his ankle injury and he's really stepped up. So, but yeah, it was premature to say Super Bowl just because, all right, we get it. Like CJ Stroud, he was the darling of the NFL season last year, Rookie of the Year, got a podcast with Micah Parsons. Like he's doing his thing. And as his name and his face got out there, it really pushed the Texans brand up more, out of that negative light that it was in with that other guy. So they'll get there at some point. Like they'll be in the conversation, but of the elite, like they're probably like 4th, 5th in the East right now as far as teams that I'm really feeling threatened by for making a Super Bowl run. Like you got the Chiefs, Ravens, Bills. I'd even put I was gonna say Pittsburgh, but probably not. But yeah, they'd probably slide in at that 4th spot and really give somebody hell wild card weekend and then maybe into the next weekend. But they got a little ways to go, which is fine. You got to slow build sometimes. You can't really just go from last to Super Bowl in a year. That never really happens unless you're rookie level Madden player. But
now we mentioned the Texans and expectations. We did not have expectations, at least I did. I won't speak and put words in anybody's mouth, but did not expect the NFC North to look like this at this point when we're talking about week 8, where the Lions are 5-1. That was expected. The Vikings 5-1. Maybe not 5-1. The Green Bay Packers 5-2. And the Chicago Bears are 4-2. Is the NFC North the best division in the NFC now? Is that something that you think is sustainable going forward?
I do. I think it's clearly the best division in football. I think the Bears are surging. I think the Bears make all the difference in this equation. We were unsure. I know people assume they'd be better, and for obvious reason, but we were unsure if they'd take the step and really become a better football team this year. But if you look at the Vikings, which no one really saw coming. I mean, we'd all be lying as well if we said we saw that coming from Sam Darnold. But there are some people who are Sam Darnold truthers, and they were saying if he got an opportunity to play for a good offensive coach, I guess Miles is one of those members. if he got an opportunity to play for a great offensive coach, he'd play great football, and he could turn it around and have a long career and maybe be a starter in the league. And so he's done that. He's done that. He's getting to throw the ball to Addison and Justin Jefferson, and with a great offensive line in front of him, and they're running the ball well on top of it. They're a legitimate football team. So look, we can go through team by team. That division is collectively made up of the 3 best football teams potentially in the NFC, right? I mean, San Fran is really up and down. We can't count on them, right? The NFC may run through the AFC North this year. I mean, NFC North, excuse me, this year. And so when you look at it that way, you have to consider the best in the NFC. I don't think it's going to suddenly turn, right? Seattle's fugazi. 49ers may figure it out if Christian McCaffrey ever comes back from his injury. We don't know as well. And so this isn't it's wide open. It's wide open in that conference. And I think it's going to go through those 3 teams. It's going to be a dogfight. Although the Bears are not going to the Super Bowl. Let's be honest. But the Vikings or the Packers. I think it's going to be the Packers, though. They're my favorite, in my opinion.
You also have 4 of the best defenses in the NFL in that division too. Like,
I didn't talk about Detroit.
Yeah, Detroit has a really good defense. They take a hit with Aiden Hutchinson being out, but when you got playmakers like Brian Branch, who's almost like a Tyrann Mathieu clone out there, and then you got Minnesota, who's great defensive coordinator in Flores. Green Bay, they turn the ball over, and then Chicago. I think they might be the #1 defense in the NFL right now. When you have those 3, and then you have solid offenses, even with like Caleb starting to get it going, like you almost wish that they didn't have a bye, because he was really starting to spin that rock out there and make plays for them. Because you got DJ, you got Rome, and then Keenan Allen really had a great game before the bye. So I think this is the cream of the crop right here with as divisions go. I do think that we could see 3 teams make a playoff push in here. The Bears, I don't know. I think they'll fall off towards the end of the season, but those top 3, those are like all Super Bowl contenders right there. And then Sam's really playing for his next gig, which he could come back to New York. Big Blue, y'all need somebody, so why not bring Sam back? I'm not even being funny. That's a legitimate quarterback that could be an option for you guys if you wanted to go that route. If you guys win too many games and you're out of that QB contention, I think Sam is one of the more special quarterbacks in the NFL. I've always thought that. It's just he needs the right cast around him to be able to show what he can. And, I mean, look at this. He's balling this year. So you got Malik, you got Wandell, Tracy, like, make it happen. I'm talking to you, Joe Shane.
Now, I'm gonna tell you right now, and I'm gonna say this again for the second time on this podcast, and hopefully the last. The Giants aren't gonna win too many games. Okay, it's not even gonna happen by mistake. I'm just being honest. It's really not. And so I think this is the year they finally get it right and draft their guy. I don't think they have much of a choice in the matter. But if they didn't, I would gladly take Sam Darnold. I think he's a good player. I think they both can get a lot out of him, and I think Stafford would be great too. I know we're off topic, but I didn't talk about Detroit. Don't know how I forgot about them. Crazy. Maybe it's because they're Detroit and no one really cares about Detroit. But they are really, really good, a good football team, and they're also a Super Bowl contender. I do think the Packers could get them, though. I do believe that. I know people aren't gonna like to hear that up in Detroit, but again, they're in Detroit. I don't really care about what you think. So there's that.
Only concern I have, or I know some people would have concern in the Packers. Love turns the ball over just a tad bit too much.
He does. Yeah.
He kind of is like a cross between Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre right now. Mm-hmm. Aaron Rodgers in regards of you would get that. I'm talking about peak Aaron Rodgers, not Aaron Rodgers right now. Aaron Rodgers, when he did wear Green Bay, you can get a 50-yard touchdown at any point. Explosive plays out the wazoo. But then on the flip side, his alter ego is Brett Favre with these interceptions, which it panned out and it worked out for them. They got the win. But down playoff time, that's going – we can't – you need to be more like peak Aaron Rodgers, because Aaron Rodgers is one of the first – I'd say one of the first quarterbacks that was giving us 34, 35 touchdowns and 9 interceptions and not getting the double-digit interceptions. Like, really was out here 38 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. So A-Rod, peak A-Rod is what, the Jets was hoping to get, but they obviously didn't get that. Week 8 picks. Perfect transition. It should be a win. It should be a get right game, but Jets, Patriots, how do we see this one panning out? Do we see peak Aaron Rodgers, pop back onto the scene?
I think that the Jets are going to win the football game. And I picked the Jets last week, and I quickly realized how stupid that was. I'm not sure why I got caught up in that. I don't really understand. I guess I didn't know what to expect from Russell Wilson as well. And I guess we'll talk more about the Steelers maybe in this podcast. But the Jets should win that football game. The Patriots are an inferior football team. If they lose that football game, the season truly is over. At 3-5, as you can 3-5, you can see a way where you can maybe climb your way out of the hole, right? They'll get Hassan Reddick on a limited snap count this week. He chose to come play some football at this point in the year, very late, but here we are. And so we're going to see if Miles' theory is true. If Hassan Reddick not being there is the reason why they can't stop the run. Now, in my opinion, I don't think that's true. I don't think that they have the horses to stop the run on the interior of that line. I think the teams can expose them that way. But are the Patriots good enough to do that, playing with their 8th different line combination of the year on offense? No, they're not. But Drake May is very, very good at football. That I know for a fact. And he's going to make some plays against the Jets defense. He is. He is really great at reading the defense. He's able to get to his answers quickly in his processing. He can make every throw on the football field. He's everything I wanted, and I knew he would be. And that's why I wanted the Giants to get him so badly. And I really got myself all excited about that pipe dream, but here we are. I'm sorry, it's not about the Giants, but I think the Jets are going to win that game pretty handily. I think Devontae gave the speech in the locker room, and Aaron Rodgers said it was the realest thing he ever heard. Although we don't know what's real to Aaron Rodgers and what isn't because he's a nut job. But I guess we're going to have to see. I do think that Devontae is right. You can't have a ball hit Garrett Wilson in his chest and it bounces off for interception. That don't make no sense. That don't make any sense. But at the same time, again, we need to hold Aaron Rodgers accountable. He is not playing football at a high level, not to his standard, and not even really close, to be honest. He had another interception in that game that was ridiculous in the middle of the field. He'd probably tell you someone ran the wrong route, though. That's probably what happened. So, sorry, Aaron. My bad. But I think Jets win this football game. They should take care of the Patriots.
I think for this game, they just need to come out with some energy. Like that game was theirs for the taking. Like they could have gone into the half up 3 scores, which they should have because they were rolling in the first half. And then all of a sudden it almost seemed like once he threw that interception right before the half, that was it. The game was over at that point. Like you almost, when you heard Devontae Adams, you heard that the sideline was just lifeless. Like even after Brees had that 60-yard run, there's no energy. Like how are you supposed to win like that? But for this game, hopefully they can win this one. I'm over these predictions for the Jet team. Whatever happens at this point. I'm in the World Series right now. I don't care what the Jets do. They better win this game against the Patriots. The Patriots are a rebuilding team. They're not really that good, but anybody can lose on Sunday. So I'm going to take the Jets. Not confidently, but I'm going to take them on Sunday.
Next game that we are next game that we're going to make our picks on. The Bears and Commanders, 2 rookie quarterbacks that are playing better. We just talked about the Bears, 4-2 record. Commanders are off to a good start. They're the head of their division also. How y'all see this one going out, and which quarterback you think actually has a better game?
I think Mariota has the better game because Jaden Daniels ain't playing this week. He got a rib injury.
That game got flexed though, right? He flexed this game to 8
got flexed, but he hasn't practiced this week yet. I think Mariota really stepped in last week and had a really good game, and it seems like this offense is a good fit for Mariota. And with the weapons they have in Washington, with that defense rolling, I'm going to go with the underdog in this game and take the Commanders. But my bad. That was like I'm not breaking news or anything. But because fantasy, I got Jaden Daniels. I appreciate you, Tone, but he's out this week. He's not playing. So it's gonna be the Mariota show.
I was keeping hope alive. Maybe put on a straight jacket and just play through it.
If Mariota plays this week, I think the Bears are gonna win.
Yeah, he can't play a xylophone on his ribs. He out. He's 160 with a weighted vest on.
He's right. You're right. And that was always the fear about Jaden Daniels. No, for real. Like, that's what I said. Like, I didn't know he'd be this great early on, but I said if there's something that concerns me about Jaden Daniels, is his inability to keep himself clean or safe when he runs or he improvises. And clearly, I believe the injury happened on a play like that, right? He's trying to run for it or something, and he takes a shot. So, right, very Jaden Daniels-esque, to be honest. He needs to. He's very small. He can't really get too greedy out there running the ball or improvising. But yeah, I think if he doesn't play, I think the Bears can win the football game for sure. I would have picked the Commanders if Jaden Daniels could play, but I think Killer Williams is coming on strong. I don't think the Commanders defense is particularly good. I don't really believe that. I think that Jaden Daniels is certainly helps the defense in a lot of ways because their offensive possessions are so long, because there's a lot of think and dunk up the field in Cliff Kingsbury's offense until they hit that big shot too. And it's not that Mariota can't operate the offense, and no line is playing well over there. But I think that Bears defense is very, very good. And I think the corners over there are very, very good as well, right? And you know, what I can't their star corner's name is escaping me.
Jalen Johnson.
Jalen Johnson. I think there's Tyreek Stevenson over there too. I think that's another guy, if I'm not mistaken. They're both really, really good. So yeah, I think they have answers defensively for what they're going to do, especially if you're going to put an inferior quarterback out there against that defense on Sunday night. So the Bears can win. The Bears can win, and they can roll into another dub, and thus strengthen the argument that the NFC North is the best division in football. I mean, Mariota, we don't trust that fool no more. We over that. We done seen it a million times.
He's better at, I'd say this, he's better at backup coming in and playing. If you want him as your starter, throw away the season. But if he's coming in as a backup, he plays better like that. I like my chances where he understands that he's not going to be the starter. He plays pretty well because he knows I don't know when I'm going to get back in. So
you know what it is, Tone? Mariota's the kind of guy who's better when he catch you by surprise, where you don't know he's coming. But when you know he's coming and you're ready, you can get ready for him. It's not going to look so hot. So I just don't know with that defense too. I have my questions about him this week. I don't think he's going to go very well, but I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again.
Next game and the last game for the Week 8 picks. You mentioned it earlier. You mentioned the Steelers. We talked about your Giants not winning games. So I don't know, it's any point of asking you who's going to win the game. But more so since you'll be the first person to answer, since Miles is currently handling some business on the back end, the Giants-Steelers game. Safe to say that the Steelers, by all means, should win the game. But the Steelers on that front, because you did mention last week, you talked about them living in mediocrity, them choosing not to get a franchise quarterback since Roethlisberger. They get a win last week. What's the thoughts on the Steelers now with Russell Wilson at the helm and how they looked last week? And they had a couple more big plays in the passing game.
Yeah, I mean, well, when I think about that football team, look, the difference between Justin Fields and Russell Wilson and why it ultimately made sense for Tomlin, even though we all doubted him, for Tomlin to make that move, if he saw this in practice and he gets to see Russell Wilson in practice, so he gets the front row seat to this stuff, is that Russell Wilson has more confidence in his arm talent to throw the football and try to give George Pickens 50-50 opportunities, and which is what he excels at. He's not a speedster. That's not what he does. He's gonna win the jump ball, and he gives him those opportunities because he can put the ball out there with touch and accuracy. He's always been a great deep ball thrower. He's always been brilliant at it. He did it well last year in Denver. He only got benched in Denver because they didn't want to guarantee the rest of his contract, or there was some kind of clause they were trying to avoid. Sean Payton played dirty, right? But I also understand it. So it wasn't because of his level of play. And so he's always been good at it. He was good at it last year, throwing those deep balls to Cortland Sutton. I think that Tomlin understood that and understood what that marriage could look like between him and Pickens, and what it would open up for Najee Harris and Warren and those guys running the football, because they're going to run into light boxes, because they have to respect the fact that Russell Wilson will throw the ball to every part of the field, and he's just better utilizing the middle of the field with a guy like Pat Freiermuth, who suddenly looked like a different tight end last week and went for like 90 yards and had a bunch of big chunk plays in the middle of the field. So his ability to trust his arm talent is what is all the difference. And I've been saying this for a long time. We talk about Daniel Jones not being very good at football and everything. I don't look at Justin Fields that much differently. Justin Fields is a much better athlete. He's been gifted by God. But in terms of arm talent, in terms of his ability to process defense and test every part of the football field, him and Daniel Jones are limited in the same ways in that area. They're not much different, but we talk about Justin Fields differently because he's that much more physically gifted. You think it makes sense in your mind for it to be like, oh, he should be really good. It makes no sense that he's not really, really good at football, but he just doesn't process that well. When the ball snaps, he doesn't get to his solutions fast enough, and he doesn't trust his arm to put the ball in the right place, and he only ever drives it. He doesn't float it. He doesn't change the trajectory on the ball. He doesn't change the pace of the football, the pace of the pass. Russell Wilson's a master at that. He is good at it. He's still high level at that. So he gives them a chance to win every week. And they just need competent quarterback play to make a real run at this thing and make a playoff run, which Russell Wilson will give them in spades. So that is why it makes a lot of sense. That being said, the Giants are going to get demolished on Monday night. It's not going to be good. It's going to be bad. I don't believe that they're going to operate offensively at a high level at all. And I'll also say, I saw something that Mara had an event tonight, and people got to ask him questions, and he said he's not making any changes to the GM or the coach, that they're not going anywhere. We've heard it before, and he's fired people, but he's not firing those two. I don't believe it. I'm just sorry. I think Shane was right. If you watched Hard Knocks, this is for the Giants fans. I'm just talking to you guys specifically. If you watched Hard Knocks over the summer, you heard Shane list out his plan. He said, this is a year where we get to see what Daniel Jones is all about. No excuses. I'm not bringing back Saquon Barkley. I didn't pay Daniel Jones $40 million to hand the ball off to a $13 million back. No, like if you're worth $40 million, then you're going to carry us. That's what he said. And I totally agree with that assessment. Don't bench him. There are Giants fans who wants to bench Daniel Jones right now. Don't bench him. Let him go out there and sink. He's going to swink or swim. He ain't going to swim. He can't swim. He can't. So let this happen organically. Let this happen. We're going to lose football games. It's the right thing for the franchise. We should have lost games last year. Then you pull them out a little later on in the season to avoid the injury guarantee. But later on. I broke down the Steelers, I think, to a T, man. I think that quarterback situation is settled. Wilson's the guy, and it's obvious why he should be if you understand football or just watched it at all. But I think they're going to take care of business. And I think that team's going to contend for that division this year, too. The Bengals, they might run into a little bit of a brick wall when they play that football team. I really believe that as they try to make their little resurgence and all that stuff. They won a couple games here. They're 3-4? 3-4 now? Yeah. It's cute. We'll see.
So your point with the Justin Fields aspect, I was listening to Dan Orlovsky. That's how you say his last name, right?
Mm-hmm.
And y'all know who I'm talking about. Listening to him on a podcast today, he broke it down, and it made me think about Fields. But he was talking about Lamar Jackson. He said what's been going well with Lamar this season is typically players, quarterbacks, whatever, specifically quarterbacks, typically that are twitchy, that have that twitch factor, don't have that twitch factor in regards of processing.
Mm-hmm.
Lamar seems like he's been having that twitch factor of being able to process quickly and get plays done. Mm-hmm. Justin Fields is kind of what you were relating to. Twitchy, super athlete. You see him in open field, you don't want no problems.
Mm-hmm.
But processing and the quarterback aspect of reading his defense, making the audible, I should send this person here. I know where to go where my check down is. I know where to look. That's the part where that's actually a twitch aspect also, because you have to make those decisions. 1, 2, 3. Oh, not open, boom. I know where my check down is at. We haven't seen that from Fields as of yet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The twitch aspect is my number one option is in there. Typically, then it's all right. Let's put these legs to work.
Mm-hmm.
It's not processing as of yet. Maybe it'll change, but
it's into what I said, and what you just your point is great because it's so true. And I heard a podcast earlier tonight where they were saying that The stats are crazy. Like the defense is playing full box, like stacking the box 50% of the time, over 50% of the time when Justin Fields is on the field. They could only do that 19% of the time when Russell Wilson was out there. Like that's a real stat. So it's only because Russell Wilson will throw the ball to every part of the field. He's gonna stretch your defense because he's willing to throw that ball. He trusts his arm talent and he processes it better than Justin Fields does. It's not really a debate. I think Justin Fields has always been overrated. I don't think he's much better than the Daniel Joneses of the world. I never really saw it, to be honest. And I just think because he's such a great athlete and his talent is so tantalizing, people fall in love with it because he can make a run and make guys miss and yada, yada, yada. You can't win like that in the NFL. Can't win. Maybe you're playing against a bunch of white dudes in defense and all that crap. Maybe then you can do that, but you can't do that in the NFL now, playing against guys that run 4.3s and all that stuff. You can't do it. So it ain't gonna work.
You talking about the Cooper DeJeans of the world, right?
Yeah, DeJean. imagine like 10 DeJeans on defense. We running buck wild.
Miles, is it safe to say before we go on to our NBA that you have the Steelers winning also?
Yeah, I mean, with Russell Wilson, he added a different element, kind of like what you guys are alluding to. With Justin Fields, the threat of running is more so out there than it is of passing. Like, he more so is looking around and not really processing, like you said, and then he's going to tuck it and run it, which it helps. You get a lot of low-scoring games, but you're able to move down the field that way. But when Russell Wilson's out there, he's scrambling to look for an open guy, and then he can still run it a little bit. But you see, he opened up the passing game with George Pickens, who, I mean, that guy is really talented. If you throw it up, he'll probably go up and get it. So yeah, that Steelers game, mixed with Daniel Jones being a football player in the NFL, probably leads to a win for the Steelers. But hopefully it's close. I mean, need something to hold me over during the World Series. It's a lot of time. So
NBA award predictions, as y'all heard, the NBA is fully back. We saw LaMelo go off tonight. We saw the Nets lose and Cam Thomas had a big game. It's fully back. We're going to do our predictions. Start off with the biggest one, probably the most important one that most people value. Miles, Greg, and I'll end it off. Who's y'all MVP this year?
You think Shea can get it this year? I mean, he was so close. He was so close last year. He probably should have been MVP, but that horse guy, he's really good at basketball. So, but I'm gonna rock with Shea. I think you add a new element with Hartenstein, who he'll get him some easy buckets because he's a really good, one of the better passing bigs in the league. Another year moving forward in his career with Jalen Williams and Chet being better. But Shea is he's a different breed. Like that guy, one-on-one, there's not many guys who can stick with him. So, and they're going to be probably the cream of the crop in the West. So all that put together, I think he gets it done this year.
Yeah, the MVP award is such a crapshoot now because there is no clear defined best player in the world. Oh, I guess people get upset because I didn't say Jokic is, because everyone says Jokic is, but I don't really think there's a clear defined, like when LeBron was the greatest player in the world, LeBron was the greatest player in the world. When Jordan was the greatest player in the world, Jordan was the greatest player in the world. Like, like there was no question. There was no one close. There was no second place. There was no argument. And so I just don't see that. I don't think that it's like an undisputed thing when I look at, when I look at Nikola Jokic, like being the best player in the world. That being said, I can go on my soapbox. You need an answer to your question. I do think Shea's going to win MVP. I was going to say that. I'll say I think it makes a lot of sense. He's going to get a lot of opportunities. They're going to get more offensive rebounds as a team. They're going to make more threes as a team. They're going to win a bunch more basketball games because they can get more rebounds with Hartenstein. I still don't think that they're equipped to handle teams with great big men. I don't know that they can get past Denver and get to the NBA championship. I see guys picking them to go to the finals. I don't believe it. I don't think that they're tough enough on the interior as defensively to win a championship. That's just my take. I don't think Hartenstein's a great defender. We saw that in playoff last year. I don't think he's a great interior defender. I just don't believe it. But he helps them. He does feel a need for them. Long story short, they'll have a lot of regular season success. Shea will be great. Shea should win MVP.
I'm going with Shea. I'm not going to be a contrarian just to be a contrarian. I got Shea winning it. Next one, we're going to go with Rookie of the Year. I think we will have different answers on this one.
I want Reed. I really want Reed to get it, but I just have a feeling that as a rookie over there in Houston, with the amount of guys they have there already, he's not going to get enough time to be able to show what he can do. But that kid is going to have a great NBA career. But my pick is I'm going to pick Edey from Memphis. I think he's going to get every opportunity to show what he can do. He's going to be able to move Jackson. You know, he's going to kind of be the cat to his Rudy, even though I like him more than Rudy. But he's going to have opportunities with Ja, crash into the paint, a lot of lob opportunities. So, and Memphis is going to be one of the better teams in the Western Conference too. I think they can bounce back and ascend to where they were before Ja got into his Rough Riders era.
This rookie class sucks.
Well, yeah.
They suck, bro. I mean, Rob Dillingham didn't see the floor. And by the way, he shouldn't. All that dribbling and nonsense. It ain't going to work in the NBA. You got to slow your ass down. Play basketball the right way. So I don't blame Finch at all for not playing him. But that's the 7th overall pick, I believe, right? Like, lottery pick. He's not playing. Crazy. I think Castle could win Rookie of the Year over Stephon Castle, the point guard. I know it won't be a popular pick because, you know, you imagine when you think about the Spurs, you think about a bunch of idiots who don't pass the ball to their clearly dominant 7'5" player. But I really do think he's a smart enough player. He's going to play good defense. The Spurs are going to take a little bit of a jump this year offensively and win more basketball games because Chris Paul's there to settle things down so long as he stays healthy. I think Castle could fit a nice role alongside Chris Paul playing great defense. And he just plays the game like he's been in the NBA for a while. Like he just plays like a vet. So I think he'll be in the conversation all year long. And I think, look, I'll be honest, full disclosure, I'm picking the rookie I like the most. I just think he's the most NBA ready of all the guys we've seen. And Reed Shepard's really, really good. I don't know that his minutes are going to climb the way they need to for him to win Rookie of the Year. Not on time. He's going to play later in the season. That's just the way I see it. He's going to come on strong later. But I think Castle will play minutes. I think that a guy like Popovich will appreciate the way he plays. So I'll go with Castle.
I'm going to go with Edey just because on the conversation of the minutes. He's starting and he's going to be with Ja, which makes his life 50 times easier. He's not a typical rookie that you have coming in that's going to be like, hey, we need you to have a heavy workload. Block 2 or 3 shots a game, catch these alley-oops, stay out of foul trouble. Yeah, so I think he'll end up getting it. Next pick we have DPOY. Just so I don't repeat Miles or Greg, I'm going to say mine first. Anthony Davis finally wins it this year. I have Anthony Davis winning DPOY this year. That's just me.
Oh, me too. Oh, did you see he was dominant last night? Did you see him? He was dominant last night. AD, like when he's locked in and he's being utilized correctly in an offense, he is a brilliant basketball player. And can I just say that Darvin Ham is an effing idiot? You are an effing idiot because last night made me think about something I never thought about before. And I guess I got so used to watching bad basketball from the Lakers, I just never thought about it. Why is it that it took JJ Redick coming in for us to see more of Anthony Davis handling the ball up top and facilitating and creating from the top because he's a big 7-foot guard? They literally only got AD the ball last year on post-ups. That was it, clogging the paint. AD was getting the ball up in the middle of the floor, mixing dudes, getting to his little fadeaways. He was playing like he did when he first got there, right? 3 balls not falling the same clip, but he made one yesterday. I'll take it. It's coming back slowly. The confidence is coming back. I love what JJ did yesterday. I don't want to get too ahead of myself. I can rant about JJ right now. Let's not do that. We'll get there at some point. But I'm gonna tell y'all right now, AD should win. Not only should he win Defensive Player of the Year, but he'll be in the running for MVP too.
I'll say the same thing. I don't need to repeat. I mean, you guys said it. AD when he's healthy and when he's going and motivated, I think he's the best defender in the league. I'm sure a lot of people are going to go with Wemby, just off the strength of he's also really good at defense too. But I think for a team like the Lakers, who they can bounce back this year and have a better standing in the Western Conference, that'll help, and he'll be up there for MVP too, Anthony Davis, because I do think he's their best player at this point in his career, and I feel like what Darvin Ham was asking LeBron to do was just insane. But I mean, JJ is a different coach. First time coaching. We'll see how it goes as the season goes on, of course. But it was really good to see what was going on last night.
He's great. He's great.
I don't want to turn this into a Lakers pod and drag this on too long because we are making absolutely beautiful time. But Anthony Davis will finally take the keys over. This is the season where I really think, and maybe not so much because of him, but from what I saw last night of how JJ Redick is putting him in position to succeed and be the focal point, AD is taking the keys to the Maserati, to the McLaren, whatever car you want to think of. AD has the keys and he's driving the front seat this year, which will put him in that conversation for MVP, DPOY. We might see the best career season maybe since that bubble year. And I don't need 45 threes if you're going to play like that yesterday. Mm-hmm. If you playing like that, getting it off the bounce, mixing dudes up from your position, because most dudes, which I don't know what Darvin Ham forgot, 99.67824% of the league that play power forward or center cannot stick with Anthony Davis. What were we doing? So JJ Redick might not be a genius, but because you had Darvin Ham, JJ Redick is going to look like Pat Riley when he first got to the Lakers. He might get a statue outside just because Darvin Ham was that bad. Not saying JJ Redick isn't good, but when you've had a terrible girlfriend that couldn't cook, didn't clean, she didn't bathe, she didn't make sure that she was clean shaven.
Clean shaven is crazy.
She didn't do these things. If you get a girl that take a shower, you like, oh my gosh, what? This is a revelation. I didn't know life could be this good. That's what we're going to see this season with the Lakers. What we have from Darvin Ham. JJ Redick ain't put his hand in his pocket not one time yesterday, so we already are at a better progression than what Darvin Ham was doing last year. We're gonna go to Coach of the Year. Who's your Coach of the Year?
Look,
you want to say JJ, huh?
Bruh, I just think the change is so stark in LA. Like, I don't think it's going to be because the record is going to be the best. No, it's just the change is so stark in LA. This is sustainable. They've got crazy sets. Their philosophy on offense is so different. You need to take threes as an offensive basketball team at any level, even at the high school level, to stretch defenses out and create driving lanes for your best players to go score. You have to. So the idea that he's trying to say, hey, we're going to take above the league average in three-pointers per game this year. We're going to do that. And the specifics of the game plan, we know who we're going to attack every single night. They attacked Julius Randle. There was the attention to detail last night was so impressive. I think people really sleep on. I watched that game from start to finish. He is really impressive. He is a sicko. He is that's my kind of guy. He's all about basketball. That's all he thinks about. He eats, breathes, and sleeps it. He was ready for this opportunity. The Lakers are very fortunate Dan Hurley said no, because they really may have lucked into the right coach for them. And I really think he can win Coach of the Year this year because he's going to turn that team around. And they're going to make a trade. The trade is still coming. They're loaded. It may not be a big name, but I think they get a Cam Johnson from Brooklyn. I think they get a Nick Richards from Charlotte. They will make moves around the edges and specifically adding to the three-point shooting. They need a guy who can make threes, 3-and-D, got 3-and-D wing. that they can trust. And I think Cam Johnson has a history doing that in big moments playing for the Phoenix Suns. I think they can really make some real noise this year and make a run as well. So I know we hit the Lakers optimism every year is we do it every year. We do this, but this is different because they have a competent basketball coach who, and I think better than competent. I think he's going to be one of the elite coaches in the league. His X and O's work is crazy. His ability to motivate is there. The guys like playing for him. He got D'Angelo Russell's stupid ass to stop. I'm sorry. He got D'Angelo Russell. Russell wasn't making no shots, right? Last year, what would he have done? He'd have kept chucking them. He got him to stop shooting. It was a miracle. He stopped shooting them. Like he didn't hurt them. Like he set the table for other guys on the floor. He played a little bit of defense. I'm telling you guys, you don't win Coach of the Year, man. Those guys are gonna look different playing for him. I'm telling you, the best is yet to come. And Connect is really good, and he's gonna draw some stuff for him too. Love it. He was using Connect as a decoy last night. I'm in on JJ Redick in this experience, so I think he's gonna be Coach of the Year. But not again. They won't be the best team in the league. Just gonna be because they make a big improvement.
I'm gonna say Taylor Jenkins from Memphis. I think with Ja coming back, you got Marcus Smart coming back. Once you get a little healthier, just like that, I mean, this team it's good. Like I think they're gonna be a good team in the Western Conference, and if they're able to shoot up to that top 3 standing and get back to where they were a couple years ago, I think, hey, why not Taylor Jenkins? Because one, you're getting a motivated Ja. At least he should be, because you got Anthony Edwards doing commercials, all these other guys doing commercials that you should be doing. Like you should be the guy who's getting a rollout of a shoe deal and shoe commercials and all this stuff. But because of your extracurriculars, you kind of fell by the wayside. So I think if you're getting a motivated Ja Morant, who I still think is one of the top 10, 15 best players in the league when he's healthy and, checks his gun in at the entrance. That guy is really good at basketball, and he's a difference maker, and he can take this team over the top. So, all right, let's do it.
I'm gonna go with Budenholzer. I really like the signing of Tyus Jones. For those that's watching this live, for those that see this later, they're at the half. The Suns are up 47-39. Tyus Jones has 4 assists. Everybody in the box score right now is balanced. 7 for KD, 5 for Nurkic, 8 for Bill, 6 for Booker. Nobody has more than 4 shots outside of Bill, and he only has 5. I think Budenholzer will have them playing better. In default, they're gonna end up being top 3, top 4 seed, and they'll get some love for that. So I think he'll win Coach of the Year. 6th Man of the Year. This is an interesting one. Does Naz Reid repeat for y'all?
I say Devo. I like Devo. I think having him on that team adds a different element off the bench. So you get a shooter who you can send out there 3-4 minutes into the quarter, and he'll come out blicking like he's hot off the press. So I think for that team, that adds a different element of a microwave shooter that they didn't have last year, who I think fits well next to Anthony Edwards. What we did see last year was Devo was able to play make. He was able to play freely, something that was coming along in Golden State. He was starting to finally get that rhythm back that he had lost after the injuries in Milwaukee and going to Sacramento. I think he's an ascending player that he might not have to be a star to, be impactful. This 6-man role works for him. And 6-man doesn't mean you don't play a lot of minutes. Like he's going to play early on too. So I like Devo for 6-man.
I'm gonna go with Trey Mann. I didn't realize that in 29 more minutes he had 24 points tonight. I believe in the coach over there, Lee. I think he's going to be a nice change of pace for them. He's got LaMelo Ball playing defense. I think they're going to be an improved basketball team. Grant Williams should have. I think he's due for at least an average year shooting the basketball, which is how he makes his money. So I think he'll be better. And I just say all those things culminate to Trey Mann playing a big role in that team and getting buckets, which is what he can do. And he sure is dressing the part, trying to be cosplay as Allen Iverson. He thinks he's Raiola or whatever. So it'll be interesting this year to see the Hornets as a team. But I like them. I'm a believer. I'm buying stock in that team. I think they're going to turn the corner a bit and be a playing team. And that's above expectation for them. And I think a big part of their success is going to be Trey Mann stepping in and getting buckets for them off the bench. But if it's not him, then it's between him and Malik Monk. But I think I'd go with him.
I'm going with Trey Mann. We're not going to drag it on. I'm a big Trey Mann fan. I got him in a couple of my fantasy leagues. Trey Mann stock is going up. If you into fantasy, Trey Mann. And he's literally, from what I saw, he's only on 4% of teams in sleeper. And he's only on 8% of teams in the ESPN Fantasy League. And I think 5% in Yahoo Fantasy. Get him now, because y'all going to see after this game, everybody going to want to get Trey Mann. Like, oh, look at the reincarnation of Iverson. Get him now. Don't hit me up for no trades either if y'all watching this that's in any of my leagues. I'm not trading him. He's not on the trade block. MIP, Evan Mobley for me.
Oh, Jalen Johnson, Atlanta. Jalen Johnson, Atlanta. I watched him tonight. He beat up on the Nets. It's going to happen a lot this year. It's okay. It's part of the plan. But yeah, I think he's such a good player, and he's one of those hidden gems in the NBA. Can shoot, put the ball on the floor, play above the rim, play around the rim. Just really, really talented 3-level scorer. So I like him. I think he's going to ascend. Because when you take Zachary Richardsey with your first pick or whatever, I just think that you're gonna have to rely on Jalen. You're gonna have to rely on Jalen, Trey Young, and 100 of the guys that were there. So the pecking order won't change because of Richardsey, is what I'm saying. And I think he's gonna get plenty of touches and have a great year. Most improved player is mine. Yeah, I think that's him for me.
Yeah, I was on mute, so I couldn't say anything. But yeah, I agree. Jalen Johnson. I think now that you take out DeJounte Murray, and speaking of him, he fractured his hand tonight, so we'll see what happens with that in New Orleans. But Jalen Johnson, I think he was having a really good year last year with all those guys, and he's a double-double threat. He's one of those guys that, I mean, he got his rookie extension, which means they have high expectations for him, and I don't see why he wouldn't meet those expectations. He could be a 20 and 10 guy for them. He brings easy, and he brings that energy where he runs the floor. He can dribble, improve jumper. So yeah, him next to Trey Young, and I'm not even going to try to attempt the name, but the guy on the Hawks. Yeah, I think he'll be able to make some plays over there, and you might even see more assists too. Now that you take a guy like DeJounte Murray out of the fold. So
Evan Mobley tonight, 25, 9, 1 or 2 from 3. I'm picking him. Kenny Atkinson, I think, is going to unlock something. J.D. Bickerstaff, I don't know what he was doing. Evan Mobley looked locked up until Jared Allen wasn't on the court. Kenny Atkinson, it's only one game. But Kenny Atkinson figured something out where you could have Jared Allen on the court and Evan Mobley is able to get busy. And if Kenny Atkinson unlocks that, we actually may see the Cavs not just be a team that wins 54 games, they're a top 4 seed, and then do nothing in the playoffs. Kenny Atkinson really might be the key for them to actually getting out the first round and maybe possibly making some noise in the playoffs. So shout out to Kenny Atkinson. He might be up there for Coach of the Year too, if he can unlock something with these Cavs, because it's the same crap every year. 50 wins. They're like the Hawks with Joe Johnson in them. 50 wins every year. Playoffs, not a soul is scared of y'all. So hopefully Kenny Atkinson figures it out. Last one we have, Clutch Player of the Year. I'm going with Steph. They're going to be in a lot of close games, I feel, which gives them the most opportunities to have these clutch buckets, these clutch moments. I think he'll be top in clutch points. They're not that good, I don't believe, and they'll be in a lot of – it's not going to be no games where Steph is sitting down in the fourth. Steph sat down at third quarter point. So I think he'll have the opportunity more than some other players to be a part of the clutch player.
I'm going to say Brunson. I do believe that he can keep getting better from here. And as we've seen over the last couple of years, playoffs, he's proven, in my opinion. He's shown that down the stretch, he'll get a bucket. And that's not going to change this year. I think he's actually going to expand on that now that there's no Randall and things can open up a little more. You know, the paint isn't clogged anymore. He can get in the paint and work out down there. So I like Jalen Brunson as clutch player of the year.
I'm gonna go with Tyrese Maxey. I think he'll get plenty of opportunity. You know, since he's the big African guys and take some days off. So I think that because of that, and because of Paul George's situation, and we know he's going to be in and out the lineup, I think that Tyrese Maxey will get a lot of opportunity to get some buckets down the stretch of games to win, because they're just good enough to beat, you know, the mediocre teams in the NBA, but they'll do it in close fashion. So they're going to have to go to him, even when those guys are out. And I just think that culminates to him getting a lot of opportunities when it matters the most to put some, you know, make some big plays. So I think I'll go with Tyrese Maxey. I think it's a good pick there.
All right, we'll end off the episode with this. We'll give y'all predictions with who we see winning the finals and all that good stuff. In-season tournament, all those type of different picks. We'll give y'all tour date. We'll give y'all all of that stuff next week. I'm gonna do this. We're gonna do past or present NBA edition. Who is better, past or present? I'm gonna give you a skill. I'll give you a legend, and I'll give you a current player, and you tell me who is better at said skill. John Stockton. We're doing passing. Passing is the skill. John Stockton, Chris Paul.
Yeah, you know what he's doing, bro, isn't he? Yeah.
Yo, back at it again.
Yeah, you know exactly what he's doing, bro. Oh God.
Just the skill of passing.
You know what?
I'm gonna say Stockton.
I'm gonna say the same thing.
Yeah.
Because Stockton, you know, he lacked the offensive package to really go get a buck. So he had to pass the ball a lot, and he threw the ball to the milkman a lot, and made great passes in the pick and roll, and that was his bread and butter. Apparently, the pick and roll was a foreign concept back then, so he was able to get a lot of assists out of it.
Rajon Rondo, James Harden.
Passing? Rajon Rondo. I mean, he didn't have much of a choice but to pass the ball either. Another dude that he was shooting toward it. If he took more than 15 shots, he was shooting toward eights. So he's going to have to pass the ball around. Harden was a very good passer. Underrated. But, you know, we'll go Rondo.
Steve Nash, Tyrese Halliburton.
Steve
Nash. because Tyrese looks at the guy. He gonna pass it and looks away at the last second, throws it over there. Yeah, all right, bro. They don't stupid.
Okay, so far we've picked the legends for each of these matchups. We have two more, which I think we might have a different answer, but I'll see because I can't read your mind. Jay Kidd, Trae Young.
I'll say Jay Kidd. I feel like Trae Young be forcing it. Like
he's a great passer.
He's a great passer.
I don't know.
I feel like he's adding his stats.
He threw a pass tonight. I was like, oh my God. I mean, he was like full speed going to the rim. He get tracked the second defender, throws it behind his back, hits the guy right in his pocket for a shot. He just missed it. He is a great passer. I mean, it's not
what
out
channel
of,
was that on? Was that on
Hey, this nigga
MSNBC?
go. Hey, this nigga
Ion?
Here you go, bro. You see, disrespectful. But you know, I'm gonna take Jake Kidd. Jake really he deserves that respect. He deserves that respect. He was a great passer in every situation, and certainly didn't force it. There was, you know, I don't think Trae Young stat pads, but I guess I can see the argument.
My bad. I can't lead it's too much. I can't lead this guy off. Jason Williams, aka White Chocolate, or LaMelo.
Passing.
LaMelo. Oh, because you see, when I say LaMelo, people get upset because Jason Williams did this thing where he threw the ball off his elbow, hit the ball off his elbow one time. All right, no,
it's not even that. Though.
Nah, I ain't talking about you.
Passer. I feel like he's a better passer.
I'm talking about the people. When I say LaMelo, they're gonna get upset.
LaMelo's a better player. LaMelo's a better player, but passer, I'd still go with J. Williams. Because what else was he supposed to do?
That argument's fair. I've used it. I'm just telling you, there's not many better passers in the NBA right now.
Used it 2 minutes ago.
Or in the 10. I get that. I'm telling you, there's not many better passers in the NBA right now or in the last 10 years than LaMelo Ball passing the basketball. I'm sorry. He throw with either hand. He can throw from different arm slots. Think about like a quarterback. He can change the pace in the basketball. He can throw full court passes. He's an instinctual passer. I love LaMelo's ability to pass the basketball. It's one of his best. It's one of his superpowers on the court. In addition to his, we can talk about other stuff. It's one of his superpowers on the court, his ability to pass the basketball. So I'm going to go with LaMelo Ball.
You must be talking to his PTs, because who's he passing to? He's passing to them while he's standing on the rubber thing, working the ankles out. So.
Go watch his 10 assists tonight, though. Great player.
End off with this one. For our listeners, followers, we always got to include Bron somehow in every episode, since, y'all think we just be meat riding him and all this nonsense. So, shoot, I'm going to lean all the way into it. We got Bron on this episode, too. Magic Johnson or LeBron James passing.
It's closer than people think. That's the annoying part.
Yeah, I would still say Magic though, but
I'm going to say Magic too.
He's a really, really good passer.
I think it's underselling it. Great passer. All-time great passer.
Yeah, really. That's two reallys.
Right? That's two reallys, I guess. But you might as well just say great then. Why are we not going to great? We're going to say two reallys. Are we saying two? Why are we saying really twice? That's the thing I'm trying to get. I don't understand. me, I'm gonna go Magic. Magic offensive game was not nearly at the level LeBron's offensive game is at. His superpower was passing the basketball. Showtime. He was a phenomenal passer. That's what he led with. LeBron can do everything at a high level. That's the difference. But I think Magic is is probably the greatest passer of all time, to be quite frank. So I go with Magic. But Bron right there, honestly.
Yeah, definitely Bron would have to be top 5 when you're talking about just passing, skill of passing, and to be doing that at that size, at that speed coming down the court, the IQ. He's definitely in that conversation with Magic of the greats of all time that have the passing skill and the IQ. And the IQ is really just a lot of playing basketball. It's a lot of watching film. It's a lot of picking and seeing this. All right, this is where this person likes the ball at. This is where they like it at. And the only way that helps you out is because that's why you see a coach like JJ Redick able to come in first game and do so well, because he stay ready. So he ain't got to get ready. Come on, chill out. Bench Mob, we out. Peace. Yeah.